Hey guys, today I want to do a little drone tutorial with you. I will fly through this massage hut there, and there are actually two huts behind each other, so it's a bit more complicated. I would recommend you, if you start with fly-throughs, to first start only with one. It's a lot easier, as you will see, and yeah, I would say let's get started directly. So let's set up the drone. First thing that you need to do is to turn off your sensors. You can do that in the upper menu bar. There's this sensor icon. You just press on the icon and then the sensor dialog opens, so you can just deactivate that, press OK, and now we're ready to go already. So what I always want to do is I want to stand perfectly in like one line to the subject where I want to fly through it, so that I'm in one line with my drone, so I can perfectly see if the drone is too high or too low, or too far to the left or too far to the right, and I can do adjustments. So let's do that. So I'm flying through that now. And I'm walking with the drone. I usually don't do that. Only do that now because I want to fly through both of them. That's a lot more complicated. Now I have to press a bit to the right to go through it. And there I am. So you could perfectly see that, like, I had to follow the drone to make sure that I can fly through the second one perfectly as well. I always want to be behind the drone, because then I can make adjustments. And I saw that the drone was going a bit too far to the left, so I would usually have crashed into the left stick there of this hut. So that would be a problem, of course, and that's why I pressed a bit to the right. I will redo the shot now, because I personally don't like it if I have to press left or right, because it always looks a bit weird in the final video. I like to stay on one line. So let's do it again once. Now I try to adjust the line where I want to fly on a bit better, so that I can perfectly stay in one line and I don't have to press left or right. So let's do it again. Press down. And I'm through. Perfect. I actually love stuff like that. It's always a bit adrenaline that you get in your body, because you never know if you crash your drone or not. So if you're a beginner and you want to start doing that, don't do two obstacles like I said before, only do one. And in that case you can also just stay behind one obstacle. You don't need to like walk behind your drone like I did right now. You can just stay in one place, just watch your drone and make sure that it stays there. You can actually do this exactly the same backwards. Let's just do that. So now I just want to make sure that I see my drone through the subject. Okay, I can see it. Now I fly back. I try to make sure that the drone always stays away from the top and the bottom and the left and the right. Okay, did it. But I don't want to do a fly through two things now backwards, because then I would have to walk backwards here. I would probably mess it up, so I'm not doing that right now. If I fly through two things, then I always do forward. And maybe if you see it then that I fly backward in the final video, then I probably reversed the shot. Okay, it's obviously a bit more complicated than it looked. Like, it took me a long time to learn it so that I don't crash my drone while doing that. So here's how I learned it. You want to start as easy as possible. So when you start out, you want to choose an object that you fly not through, but you fly over instead, so that you only have an obstacle under your drone. So in that case here, for example, we have the roof of that bungalow there. That's quite good to do that. So if you're a beginner, you probably want to start by only flying over that roof. It's actually quite good to do that, because when you fly your drone forward, you have to fly up at the same time. And so how you do it is simply that you make sure that the distance between, like the distance that you perceive, that you see with your eyes, between the drone and the roof stays always around the same. So if the space between the drone and the roof gets smaller, you want to press a bit more up. And if the drone gets farther away from the roof, if the space increases, then you want to press a bit down. Let's do that once. So I'm starting my drone. Also like the sensors off, of course. So now I can already see a bit of space between the drone and the roof. And when I would fly the drone forward now, then of course the space would get smaller. So I need to press up to keep that space. So let's fly forward. And I'm pressing up to make sure that the space always remains about the same. Didn't press record now, it's not really an important shot. You can do exactly the same backwards, of course, to learn flying backwards. So readjust my drone a bit. And now I fly backwards and I press down, and also making sure that the space stays about the same. And there you have it. So that's the easiest way to do that, to do fly-throughs or flying close to things. So you want to start by doing that. That's like stage 1. Then you have stage 2. Stage 2 is if you have one obstacle under the drone and one obstacle either to the left or the right. So you first start with an obstacle that has something under the drone and left or right from the drone, because that makes it a bit more complicated. You don't only have to control that you have the right space in the horizontal line, but also the vertical line. But it's still not too complicated, because you know you only either have to press up or to the right if the obstacle is to the left. So you won't have too many problems there in case you get a bit too close. You directly know in what direction you need to press. It's of course a difference if you fly backwards away from you. If you do a pull away shot, then you have to press left to fly right and the opposite, and that makes it a lot more complicated. So I would not recommend to do that at the beginning. That was actually how I crashed my very first drone, the Phantom 3 Standard. Yeah, and then stage 3 is if you have an obstacle under your drone, left and right from the drone. That directly makes it a bit more complicated, because obviously if you try to avoid crashing into the left obstacle, then you probably press a bit too far to the right and you crash into the right one. So there you have to really do fine adjustments. That's why you should do the other 2 stages at first, and you learn it a bit better. And the 4th stage is what I did here before, so that there is basically circle around the drone. There are objects everywhere, and you really have to be careful. If you make one mistake, you crash your drone. But it's actually not too complicated. If you train it for a while using these 4 stages, then you will get pretty good at it fast, and you will altogether become a much better drone pilot. Drones that I especially recommend to do for learning those shots is the Mavic Air and the Mavic Mini, because the smaller your drone is, the easier it gets to fly through stuff, obviously. With the Mavic 2 Pro, here it's still good with the bungalows, but if I have smaller objects, then I sometimes can't do it. For example, I'm actually a bit jealous of the Mavic Air owners sometimes, because we're in a room right now where we stay, where we have a window directly in front of the door. And the sunrise was directly in front of the window, so it would have been so nice to do a fly through there, but I couldn't do that with a Mavic 2 Pro. It's just too small. It's too likely that I crash it. With the Mavic Air, I think I would have done it. So yeah, get a small drone at first, stick to those 4 stages, and it will get pretty quick. I hope you like this video and the behind the scenes stuff that I do here sometimes on the channel. If yes, then please leave me a thumbs up. And also, if you want to see more videos and tutorials like that, don't forget to hit the subscribe and the bell notifications button. See you in the next video.